Had to. Bonus. What's going on, man?
Good morning. How's it going today?
Good. Doing well.
So
How are you,
this
Lesley?
is actually my ploy to get him on social media on his birthday to get extra birthday.
No way. Cheers. Happy birthday.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Today is the actual day.
Today is the actual day. But he, you know, as Martin knows, Brad is my co-captain on Agency and Agency Mini. I could not coach people without him. So it just seemed fitting to have him on here to talk about what we're up to and also fix our lighting because
Felt a little bit like a floating head there.
Yes. Before we get started, I have to say I was talking with one of my colleagues here in the clinic, and I was telling him how there are so many people that I've had on core conversations. You know what? You too might be my 300th live.
Whoa.
Yes, I did.
That's
I
huge.
either 299. I think of 299 was yesterday. So you would be 300.
Woo!
That's pretty cool.
You know what? It's his 30th birthday. I'm kidding. That's so cool. Congratulations. That is really hard to do. There are certain things, like, as just someone who does like podcasting and blogging and YouTube's, like there are certain numbers that most people don't get to, first of all. And when you do, it's just like, it is actually this like culmination, is that the right word? Compounding effect of like, when you get over that, what happens. So I'm really excited for you. Congrats. And you did it during a pandemic. Not easy place to be consistent.
Right, exactly. And I think
That
you
was-
were like guest number 3 or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, like, yesterday, I was thinking about Seth Godin. Is Seth Godin the guy who's been blogging for 10 years or
Forever.
something?
Yeah.
And like, well, not every day, but like he's been consistent for that amount of time, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It also made me like, every time I think about him, I go, for me, blogging seems like a hurdle, right? And it is just so impressive to me that he still has something to write about after all that time.
Yeah.
But I think that it's such a muscle now for him. And I was going to say for you too, what an amazing achievement to build that muscle of consistency. So plaudits,
Thank you.
man.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
And so the thought I was coming to was, I've had so many people that have been on my show, and I listen to them talk. I hear their story. I hear kind of their Pilates journey and their origin and what they're doing with their business and where they're going. And then like, and I was in agency, or I know Lesley, and Brad is with, and it's just like, you hear it, I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. That's a good idea. That's brilliant. Oh yeah, that makes sense. There you go. That's like, wait for it, and there you go. So,
Yes, that's exactly it. Like, I love being the guide, supporter. We love being the cheerleader of literally helping people see a path to their dream and their vision, and really helping them with when they get shiny object syndrome and go, actually, remember that thing you wanted?
Well, let's zoom out.
Okay,
let's look at 30,000 feet here.
So Brad,
The reality is, coming into this space, when she was in a position to be hiring people,
hi Joel.
and then when they were coming into her studio to be hired, they weren't. She wasn't able to hire them because they weren't qualified or they didn't have the right certifications. I mean, or whatever it was, and so there was absolutely a need to help people see what they could be doing or how they could be actually, preparing themselves to go out there and help teach people Pilates. Right. And that's where the whole thing started from in 2013.
Well, 2013, I wrote the book because I was so frustrated and I felt so bad for people who'd spent thousands of dollars on a training program. It was like, if any one of you has ever actually looked for a training program, if you actually compared, no one just said, go do this one. It's like comparing apples, oranges, watermelons, and an avocado. Like you don't, and you don't know what you don't know. So I wrote the book, and then that wasn't enough because that didn't help people like in the moment. And so when we created agency, I just saw that there was a need in the space to help people on an ongoing basis on their, not just their accountability, but like seeing possibility, because so many people thought, oh, I become a teacher, then I should either become a studio owner and or a teacher trainer.
Yeah.
Right.
And then maybe some people think that they could do a retreat, but a lot of them like don't think so. And I'm like, there's actually like 1,000 paths. There's like so many different things.
Yeah.
Right.
And we just need to figure out what you want to do. And so what we're really good at is actually helping people who want to teach 5 hours a week, 30 hours a week. They want to open a studio. They want to open a second studio. And we're just able to like pull the crap and the fear away and go, okay, here's your next first steps. And so I do see a lot of our agency mini members and our agency members come on here, and I'm like,
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Exciting.
Yes. And I love the fact too that you said you saw a need and then you just did it. It wasn't like I saw a need and then I went back to school, I did an MBA, and then 15 years later I made my plan, and then, you know what I mean? Like you just went, you just go.
oh, we're big messy action. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a combination of messy action and spending other people's money.
Okay.
We had a lot of time to spend other people's money and learn.
Let's be really clear on who the others were. I worked for an organization. This is not other teachers' money. I worked for an organization where I literally learned, well, first of all, pre-Pilates, I used to manage jewelry stores.
She works for a large fitness company, huge, large fitness company.
So I used to work at a jewelry store, and I managed a jewelry store. And so I had a lot of experience in hiring people, sales, hitting goals, commissions, things like that. Then when I got into Pilates, it was, during the recession also. And I was able to literally build up my business in less than 90 days. And I had to quit my real job. My boss was like, how are you doing this? And I was so puzzled because I was like, I don't understand. Is it my job to get clients? Like, isn't that what I'm supposed to do? But because she asked that question, I'm so glad. It's always important. Like I ask agency members and many members all the time, what are people asking you? That is a clue to what you are not seeing you already know. If people think that you're the expert enough to ask that question, then there's might be something to that. That doesn't mean you follow it. I get a lot of people asking how to like move a guy from the valley to the west side. That doesn't I become a dating coach, but it's a great clue. And so because she asked it, I started to look around at what was happening in the Pilates studio, and I was able to see what I was doing in a first time session versus what other people were doing, and really coaching on that. And then when I started running Pilates studios for this company, I was actually able to see how you could take a studio, it's 500 square feet, and make it go from $13,000 a month to $40,000 a month. And how do you do that where you empower teachers? And so I really can't, because I've been an instructor, I've been an independent contractor, I've been a studio manager, I've owned a studio, I've been a teacher trainer.
I was going to say that she, ran 2 teacher training programs at the same time.
So because of all of that, I can actually be in the shoes of each person, and I can know the fear that they have, I can know the frustrations they have, and I can actually know the opportunities that they might not be seeing, and that it makes it really fun. And then my background's a little bit different. I had aspirations of driving around the country in a van playing music, and I did that for a little bit. But to keep the money coming in, I ended up working in tech, and I started in 2007 in tech companies all around Los Angeles, and I hopped for years from company to company to company to company because some of them folded and some of them sold and some of them whatever, and so I had the opportunity through all of those to wear different hats, from social media marketing manager to working more as a liaison internally in the company between the powers that be and the tech team. Then I worked with the tech team. Then I started my own. I ended up working in operations for skincare, for alcohol. It was such a smorgasbord
it's pretty diverse,
of different companies. But throughout it all, what really became clear to me was my my innate strengths of seeing a path through the mess.
Yes.
And I didn't even know that wasn't something that someone trained me in. It's something I was doing with my band, with my music. It was something navigating Los Angeles. When I got put into these situations, the path became clear.
Yes.
And when I began to identify that, that's when I started to really dive in. How can I make this strength even stronger? And then finally got out of working for other people when we decided to team up.
So is the question, how do I make this strength stronger, or is it more of like, how do I do more of this because this comes easy to me?
I think first of all, identifying what your strengths are is really key. And I think
step one.
That's step one. That's actually like what attracted us to each other, because we knew what Strength Finders 2.0 was. But
yes,
we're big fans of people identifying what their strengths are. And there's plenty of tests out there that do this. And then it's actually like owning that and being okay with not being strong on those other things. And I think as teachers, I see a common thing of imposter syndrome, like almost feeling bad. Since I don't know these things, I need to go learn those things. Maybe if it's an exercise that your clients need, maybe, but if it's not, if you have no clients that need that, it's okay
zero
that you
skills
don't know that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But you also don't need to know how to develop a website. And we see a lot of people who get in their own way because they're not realizing that their strengths as a coach, as a teacher, as an empath, that is where they should spend more time. And how do we create a path to do that so that they can take the money that they make from that and empower someone whose strengths are their weaknesses?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What if you asked, is it something, how do you make them stronger? I think that it can be both. Should you just do more of it, or can you make it stronger? Look, you don't have to go back to school, but you could take a course at night, because what happened this is my personal journey here, is when I took StrengthsFinders 2.0, the test, and those suddenly there was something tangible for me to latch on to. I was doing these things without understanding, oh, I'm doing X. Like I just was doing life, right? And when I suddenly had something I could talk about, like this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it, then it made me think, oh wow, I wonder, like, how can I dive into this more, and how can I use it more, right? And I think the first step when it comes to stuff like that is identifying, it's kind of this Marie Forleo, like half of her situation and half of like what do you hate about, like, for example, like doing the books and finances and whatever. There's this weird innate, like, I don't want to deal with this, and I keep pushing it off kind of approach to it. It's like, okay, that's a big indicator.
Yes.
You should find someone else to do that, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that Strength Finders book for one of the jobs I was working at, and I want to revisit it because I do remember one of the things that was said for me was driver, and not like physically driving, but like just driving your business and just being that. And I remember from it specifically saying the person who would like wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do stuff and then leave, be the last one to leave, first one to be there, last one to leave. And it would almost garner compassion from other people, like, oh, you're working so hard. But the reality is like, no, this is the thing I love to do because I'm already working my area of passion. So it's not hard for me to put in those extra hours when I need to, because I like to just drive my business and drive those sort of things, but then also know when to stop, right? But there's a sense of that, being part of who I am, that when people look, like, oh, you're working so hard, oh, you're doing all these different things, but then I would say, I'll take days off, or I'll just stop, or whatever it is. But I remember that driver piece as being part of that Strength Finders component for me.
Yeah, you nailed it, because it's easy for people to see some of our strengths as like, because it's not their strength, like, oh, you're working so hard. And luckily you were like, actually, I really love doing this and I want to drive this business forward and I have the purpose here, versus someone who is overcompensating out of an imposter syndrome thing. And so they're working so hard to overcompensate. And I think that's something that, because after we've coached over 750 businesses between the mini and the agency, I think we're closing after this many. I think we'll get close to 1,000. And if we actually count them from all the coaching calls I've done separately, I think we probably are there. But, something I can see in people's posts and their questions, I can see the fear. I can see the imposter syndrome. I can see the obstacles. I can see and I can literally like, there'll be like a whole paragraph and I'm like, so here's the deal. I see a fear of rejection happening.
Yes.
And I think it's just important to honor that. And if you want to do this thing, then let's find a path. But if you're doing it because you think you have to, or you're afraid of people will say, or you're afraid of disappointing people, those are different things and we have to break that down. And it doesn't mean you actually have to do the thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny too, like, cause you see that, cause you've seen it so many times that you almost want to just cut right to the solution without letting people wrestle with their process of getting there sometimes, right? Like, I feel like that's one of those things where it's easy. Like, they say one thing, you're like, okay, so it's that. This is what you need to do. But we all have to kind of struggle with some of those things along the way to really have ownership of the solution.
Well, you're right, because you can't take away someone's rock bottom either. You can't take away that. What we can't do is do the work. So we can give you the tools and we can say, here are your next first steps. Mm-hmm. What you do with that is part of your process. And and that's why Mini is amazing, because it's 7 days of awesomeness. Agency is where the process, they're able to really have that process, but still have that accountability.
Yeah, I was gonna say basically, Mini's a bit of a whirlwind because you're trying to cram all this information in like 7 days. There's not enough room in there to go execute. You're learning, taking it all in, and then boop, it's over. But what happens inside of agency is that, generally speaking, we work on like 3-month cycles because we know it takes time to implement. It takes time to go through the mud. It takes time to figure it out. And, I mean, sometimes it's just emotionally hard to make changes, not just like literally hard to make changes. You're not necessarily ready. So you kind of have to get through that. And that's actually why we've had members with us for 3 years.
Yes. We still have 4 of our original members out of the first 5.
And I don't mean that they weren't emotionally ready. I mean, each time they go to tackle a new project, there's a process they have to go through. They got to figure something else out, whatever it is. And they're incrementally moving their businesses forward, in these cycles at a time. And it's become this beautiful measuring stick that they can look back on and go like, wow, 6 quarters ago, my rates were really bad. And when I changed them, look what happened and look where I have gone to from here.
Yeah. My ladies know I love all the hearts. But that's the thing. Like, there's one thing there's a great quote from like Samantha Skelly, which is like, how does it go? I said it like, information without integration is constipation. And so basically I think in this industry we have no problems with people wanting lots of information. I do see a massive problem where people are integrating, and just because you go and do a thing doesn't mean you're gonna get the result you wanted. All the time I do things and I don't get the results I want, but having the accountability, having the community come back to and say, I did this, here's what happened. It allows us to either say, oh, okay, here's the next step, or actually that is a great result. Yes. It might have not been the result you wanted, but it sounds like you just need more people. We had
I see agency members.
Yeah. So
I'll read those comments in a second.
We're big fans of helping people like just get that next first step going, because that's where you get into that process, and those fears can come up. You need those fears to come up, because that's how you face them. That's how you get through them.
Absolutely, for sure. Laura's comment here says, she really can. LL offers a balance of guidance and allowing us to still grow and figure out at the same time.
Thanks, Laura.
Yes, all that messy action. Well, that's just it, and you see, I'm kind of just taking my time with this conversation, because it's easy to just talk systems and talk processes and costs and stuff. And it's another thing to understand the man behind the brand, the woman behind the brand. So like, you have your fans, you have your community, but then there's people who are like, okay, so what's the difference between this coaching program and the next coaching program? Because there are so many people out there that are doing these things, but the intangible, which is really tangible, is the fact that you build an amazing community behind the system and the tech and the systems, all the different things, but it's community at the end of the day that you've been masterful at creating.
Thank you. I think I love that question because I actually do ask every one of our members, because there's a lot of people who are fear, oh, a new studio came in town, a new this came in town. We're one of the very first business coaching programs out there for Pilates instructors. And now we're doing more, we do a lot of fitness instructors, but what I ask people to focus on is not what makes you, what's different or better. It's like, what's your unique skill set, right? So, and to be honest, we're big Blinders fans. So I don't know a lot of them that are out there, but I can tell you this. We have a vibrant, thriving community, and we bring them into our agency mini program. So for those of you who are like wondering what mini is, it's a 7-day version of our ongoing program. It's a way for us to coach more people and have that impact. Speaking of strengths, one of mine is significance. I literally have to be part of something that is going to be bigger than me. And so when I hear that you have all these members on who've done X, Y, and Z, it's like, that's my strength cup is full. So so we have a massive community that like really comes into mini to really keep that feeling going. So then that's 7 days they get that. But then also, you know, we don't do templates and we don't say this is only for studio owners or this is only for teachers. I'm a very big fan of teachers being able to say, hey, I want to raise up my studio. all of my classes are full. I've been there for 2 years and I haven't gotten a raise. How do I ask for one? And studio owners can actually say, you know what? If you were my employee, this is how I would love for you to come to me. And so then they can actually get advice from a studio owner, go back to their studio owner and have a conversation that is open and honest and without fear, and they feel really ready for it. Vice versa, studio owners can go, I have a teacher who literally keeps showing up late. I don't understand. And the instructors can go, oh, have you asked them about this? Have you set this up for them? You know, like that would be really strange. Maybe this is going on. And so there's a lot of support on both sides so that, you know, it's really easy. If you're only with studio owners, you're just going to hear studio owners complain about what being a studio owner, all the frustrating things. You're not going to hear the other side of it. And so that's what's really important. So that's a unique thing for us. And then also,
that collaboration
because of his, what was that?
That collaboration piece.
Correct.
Well, you mentioned community. I mean, that's the best, that's the most amazing part of it, is that you join a community that's already supporting each other, and you get in there and you make friends with people who you might never have met before, and they're doing something different than you. It's complementary, right? And you have these two different perspectives, and that has been really exciting to see, people building relationships around the world. I think one of you asked what sets us apart, what makes our program different. We are very intentional about building relationships with our members as well. Unfortunately, one thing that we've heard from with people coming in is that they get on a phone call with their coach and then they never hear from them again.
Right.
And that is not how agency works. I don't like that kind of approach because people come in and then they feel like they got ghosted. And what happens inside of agency, depending on the different levels, some of our members get one-on-one calls, each quarter. Some get once a year. Others choose not to get calls. But because there's an actual community supporting, even if we aren't available to talk to you in the exact moment, there are other people there who are, and that actually changes the environment. And then we are always around as well. So it becomes much more of a support system when people come into a strong community.
That makes me think of parenting. And the reason why I say is with my kids now, when in that teenage years, it's not like they need me to spoon feed them and wake them up in the morning and get them dressed and stuff like that. They're at an age where they're independent, but they still might ask for help, but they always know that I'm available.
Yeah. I think that's
I have when people,
I don't know that I want to think of myself as a parent in that sense, but I get the parallel, and I think the way you described it is fair. Because the truth is this: we have some agency members who have run a studio for 20 years.
Right.
They've got 18 people on staff. right?
Right.
They're doing 7 figures in sales, right? So
Right.
why are they in a coaching group? Like, they clearly have something together, but that community and being able to, hey, I had this thought. What do you think about this? Just bounce those ideas around without like walking off a cliff first. That's, that's a true.
Speaking of one of those 20-year veterans, 20-year studio owners with 18 teachers, she has, in the time she's been with us, launched 2 courses and launched a training, a mini mentorship for teachers on exercises around this particular area. All of which things she has had on her dream board for years, but has never had the time. And by having us to be there to empower her to, like, this is how, like, if you want to be doing these things, how can we get these hours off of your responsibility? And so she, during a pandemic, has been able to empower her team, transform her business, and like go after these goals. And she's being noticed. She's on BBC. She's on these things. And so, because we're on that outside looking in as a parent, we can add that sage advice. It's also practical. I also don't like the coaching that's like, okay, go get this template, go get this, do it like this, here, just copy my emails. In fact, very famous coaches like Dean and Tony Robbins have recently said, just copy our emails and put your own in there. That's actually, like, sure, that could work, but that's actually not very authentic, and it's not going to make you feel very confident. We really want to help you figure out how to, like, run without us, but you'll still probably want to be with us because it's really nice to have that guidance. Just like your kids, when they grow up, they're still going to want you.
if you did a good job, yes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like personal training too, right? Like, if you're a really good personal trainer, you will have people that are with you for 15 years that really, if you sat down with them, they recognize that they don't need you. They just kind of really like you, and that's why they're sticking around. And then there's the benefits from that relationship that continue, and it makes them richer. But they have the skill set to do it on their own. But because of what the benefit that you bring to that relationship, you stick around, and it enriches the relationship for it. So that totally makes sense.
That's a really good.
I think I'm glad you brought up the personal trainer or the one-on-one, because we've been talking so much about studios. But for people who don't own a studio out there, you innately understand this. Yes, they can go do their workout on their own, but are they going to do it? Probably not.
Probably not.
Right?
Yes.
And so it comes down to accountability. The person shows up because they know you, they trust you, they know that you know what you're talking about. And when they step into that space, you're helping them stay accountable to their practice. And that actually is a lot of what happens inside of agency. So when people are in that group, they're consistently, it's a constant reminder, oh yeah, I got to move my business forward. I need to run the business and manage my clients, but I gotta keep incrementally moving forward. And so agency becomes that consistent reminder.
And we bring that into mini though, because I actually don't like when people sign up for courses. I'm one of those people. I have a few courses I haven't logged into that I bought that have no accountability in them. And something about mini that I really love is that within that 7 days, we actually do create accountability that makes you show up and watch the webinar where we teach you about marketing and actually knowing how to figure out how much you charge, whether you're a studio or an instructor. And then we have the group call, and even that has accountability. It expires. And so that way, even you are going to get some information, because I don't want to just take your money and you don't get anything, right? Like, that doesn't work for me. Significance has to have an impact. So, so that's why, and everything I do, there's accountability and there's community, because those two things really go hand in hand. I saw Joel's comment. Thank you, bud. I love that you were in. I remember that many. You were awesome.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a sense of what you're saying there too, where because we get so busy working in our business that we never spend enough time working on our business. And I've said that line before, but there's something about reawakening your why. Because every one of us at some point, like, you may have been working some desk job and you're doing a Pilates class and decided to become a Pilates teacher, and you had a vision at some point of doing something, and now you're in the trenches, and that why is somewhere over there.
Oh yeah.
That's a good way to describe it.
I don't know when I was told this, but I was told, like, if you don't have goals, then someone else will have goals for you.
Yeah.
And I think, and so I think, like, you know, it is okay to be a teacher who works for a studio. It is okay to be a studio owner who has teachers work for them. Somewhere in those relationships has to be an intersection of your why and their why. And that's how you know it's a really good fit for you. And it's also okay if eventually the intersection, you go beyond it. And ideally the relationship should still be kosher. I've left a couple of studios, and the high-end fitness club that I left, they still talk about me. They still refer people to me. I still talk to all of them. We're still friends. And so it's not because they were not great to me. It's because my why went beyond what they could offer me. And that's okay. So I love that you say that. I mean, I think when he knows, because he does a lot of the actual day-to-day. And I call myself the CVO, the Chief Vision Officer. And so I like to remind our team and everything, like, this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is why this blog exists. This is why this button exists. And so I can tell you that it is not easy to keep that vision literally in front of you all the time, because the bookkeeping needs you, or this client keeps changing their schedule, or this teacher keeps showing up late. Now you have to work for them. Like, I understand that, but that is also, again, why accountability is so great, because we can remind you, hey, remember, this is why you said you were doing what you're doing.
Yes. Right. So then when you layer in that reawakening of your why with now giving you some legitimate hows, then we're in business.
Oh, yeah. You know, one thing we constantly say is there are only two things in business. There's how you think and what you do.
Yes.
You know, and on the how you think part, it's driven by your why. You know,
absolutely.
Actually, all of it is driven by your why. Even what you do is driven by your why.
Well, everything should be. And I think it's just really easy for people to get a scarcity mindset, get fearful about things. So they say yes to clients they probably would have said no to. And especially in the last, 16 months with lockdowns happening, opening, closing, it's really easy to fear that there's not another client on the other side of this. And so, we, the patience we can have and the trust there to be like, hey, remember you said you didn't want to work at 6 a.m. anymore? So why did you take that 6 a.m. client?
This is one of her superpowers. And this, because I used to run my own web development company. And she was teaching Pilates teachers, right? She was teaching Pilates, sorry, as a teacher. And she had all these clients. And she was getting frustrated with her schedule in life, her daily schedule, her routine. And she said, you know what? I just don't want to teach at 7 a.m. anymore. I was like, well, what happens to those clients? And she's like, I'm going to find another client that will take my 10 a.m. slot. And I love this person, but our paths do not cross. There's no more intersection there on our whys. And, they can change, or I'm gonna let them go. And I with my service-based business mentality, I was like, that's a paycheck right there. That's money that you're just gonna like bye-bye. And she did it, and of course there were more clients who were interested in taking a 10 a.m. slot, and I was like, oh my god, that was like really revelatory for me, because I had this fear. I didn't want to let go of the income that I knew, even though that income wasn't serving me.
Right. Well, the one line that you said a while ago, Brad, that I've used many times is quite simply that there's 3 billion people on this planet.
Yeah, 7
billion people. The key word is billion, and I am not touching enough of those people, and I don't have to, in a scarcity mindset, chase after the person, for me, in my Martin world speak, at 8 p.m. when I can get people in my window of time that I actually do want to work.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
100%.
And then within the niche that I want to work within, and within the geographical area that I want to work in, and then fill in the blank there with the whatever you want to work in.
Yeah, couldn't agree
all
more.
Those people are there, right? So.
Well, that's something we
and those clients are more fun to teach because they're up your alley anyway.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's my pet peeve with like, not my pet peeve, but that was the thing I used to just dread about working in big box gyms is the person that you didn't want to work with. And I like working with everybody. I like everybody. But there's some people that because they're not my favorite type of people to work with, and then they bought like 85 sessions, and then you feel like you are
Yeah,
trapped.
during the welcome pack, right? So they bought it for like $20 a session, so they don't value them at all.
So I'm making 17
like,
cents an hour. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And then
Come
there's
on, we've
no
all had problem
showing.
clients.
Right.
And that's
Right.
that's one of the reasons why I love that when you come in Agency Mini, day one, what we teach you, what we remind people of as agency members is, first of all, how to figure out like how many hours you actually have to be teaching to make the money you want to make. And then also how you can literally go, if a client goes, I'm sick this week, how you can like actually not go, you get to go, oh, actually, like last week I was 3 hours over my minimum, so I'm good. Like we really, because once you can get that fear out of your mind, then you can focus on other things. If you're constantly worried about every client that you have to say yes to, you are in a reactionary mode. Erica Quest, who is actually a coach inside of agency with us, who's doing calls for agency members now. She talks about system 1, system 2 thinking. That is reactionary mode. And so what we really try to do on day 1 of Mini is help you figure out like literally how many hours you're supposed to be teaching to make the money you want to make, that pays for sick days, that pays for vacation days, that pays for the administration hours. And that really helps you to say no to people. And so that was like, that's an empowerment tool, right? That you can take with you wherever you go. And so I really love that. I also think like just letting teachers have that and studio owners have that space to be like, this is, you know, every client's relationship. You would never date that person, right? Now, there's a lot of clients I wouldn't date, but I would at least have dinner with. If you don't even want to have dinner with them, you're going to spend an hour with them. You're touching them. You're giving them your energy, all that stuff. Like those
you're
are
also taking in theirs.
Yeah. So I think it's, you know, it's okay if you're watching this and you're like, I don't even know who I want to teach, especially if you're brand new, you probably don't. And that's okay. But like, at least know what times you want to teach. And that really narrows down the field. And then we can work from there, you know?
That's the whole notion of just knowing who you are is so powerful. And that sets you free to just enjoy your work and be where you want to be with it. And I think that you guys are doing a great job with helping people to flesh that piece of it out.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
We're having fun with it.
There's so many comments here. I'm seeing them fly through. I'm like, oh, I want,
I
Pilates.
love movement Pilates. She was thinking of joining Mini. Then she saw this and she's like, it's a sign. Did you see that one? I was like,
no, I didn't.
Love movement. I'll make sure you do.
There you
Talk
go.
about accountability.
So Pilates Hottie IG asked, how do you push through this? And I think when you were, Lesley, when you were talking about, actually Pilates Hottie, if you could just write your question down a little bit more there, because you were talking about scarcity mentality, maybe. I can't remember what it was, like you mentioned. So I saw that come, and then you spoke to it.
I saw that. And we can just talk about scarcity mindset. You know, I think it's important for people to hear that I didn't grow up with money. And I think it's really easy for people to hear me go, I'm just gonna get rid of a client, or I'm just gonna say no to this, I'm gonna say no to this, and think, oh, must be nice, Lesley.
Must be nice, yes.
Must be nice. Just so everyone's clear, like I grew up in a house that we didn't answer the phone unless you made sure that the answering machine picked it up and it was grandma and a friend and not a bill collector. So I understand if you have a money history where there wasn't any. Like I get that. For me, how did I push through that? I believe I can create money. I believe I can create it. I believe that money is energy. I believe that there is no pie of money. In fact, governments literally print money. They just print more. They just make more. And so I did grow up in the household where money doesn't grow on trees and a penny saved is a penny earned. All that stuff is oh, good. I'm talking about it.
There you go.
All of that stuff is things that were really ingrained in our head so that we wouldn't actually go after more money.
I mean, same with me. The irony of where I grew up, my dad is a CPA. Right, and he taught me the importance, the value of $20, right?
Yes.
But somewhere in there, I didn't learn the higher vision of like how the bigger picture worked, and so you end up like going, all right, Like, here's how much money I'm working with. It's what's in my bank account right now, and I only have this much. Yes. And I better make this much make sense. It better work for life, right? When instead you can look at that and go, here's what I'm working with today. How can I make more? And the way that our like, especially for me, it was like, go to school, get a good job, and then work it for 40 years, get retired.
Yes.
Right. Yes. It's like when you lock yourself into a job, the idea of that old school mentality is you're lucky if you're going to get a 3% raise. So this is it. This is all you're working with until 12 months from now. That's not the way that, especially in the fitness industry, where we're a service-based business, that's not how it works.
Yeah. No. And ultimate serenity, like I totally understand. I know how to like count, like you're like, okay, I can get this. Like I was very creative at that. And it served me very well, especially being a graduate from the recession and all that stuff. But so also going back to Pilates Hydra, like how do you get it? Here's the thing. Again, when you're in Mini on day one and we go over this formula, whether you're a studio owner or a teacher, you're going to have very good clarity around exactly what your numbers are for you personally. We see evidence for what we believe to be true. If you believe clients are canceling on you, you are actually not going to see that the client that asked for 3 extra sessions. You'll still teach them, but you won't actually see that someone asked for more sessions. You'll only see 3 people canceled on me this week.
Yeah, you're not focused on it.
And so I focus on I believe so much that I can literally like make my money that I see evidence for that. I see possibilities. And so we'll be having conversations with people. And I'm like, oh, this person we could do X, Y, and Z together. And so when you change your mindset, which is, it's a habit. So you have this groove in your brain, right? So you have, Tara Rose is correct, but you can change it. Your subconscious is actually really malleable. You don't forget things, but you can outweigh the negatives. So if you literally change the thought process. Now, every time you have a client cancel, you're already going, oh my God, I'm not gonna have enough money. That is a brain pathway, that's a groove, and it's faster and faster each time. So you have to, as soon as a client cancels and you go to have that thought, you have to interrupt the thought. You have to get a new prompt. I'm actually taking a habit certification to really help those in my coaching group interrupt that thought even faster. So
I have a good visual for that too. I could jump in with it.
Awesome. I'll jump in a second. So you're going to change the prompt. So maybe when you see a client cancel, you actually go, oh, perfect, hour to work on X, an hour to do X. So you change the prompt, and then you see, and you just change the belief that you are going to have enough clients. Go ahead. What's your visual?
You're talking about neural pathways.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine you're like a kid and you're walking to school and there's tall grass and all the kids walk the same path to go to school, right? So then naturally there's going to be a beaten down path in the grass for where all the kids walk, right? So you got that visual. Now, if I was to take a different path, I'm going to tromp down a different path to go through the grass. So now if all the kids start to follow that new path, then you're going to see like an S-shaped path, and the original path is still there, but now there's also a different path to get to school. That's what happens in our brains. That's what happens in our bodies. So if we are programmed to think one way, then we're still on the original path to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really interesting. It actually literally brought back childhood memories for me, because I literally walked through a field of tall grass to get to high school and picked the ticks off me when I got into class. It was a bit weird. But yeah, I mean, you interrupting, and it's so hard when you're in the moment to go, oh, I'm doing it again. I should be doing this. And that's hard. So that's where we have visuals. That's why we have vision boards and dream boards. That's why you put a sticky note next to your computer, or maybe like you've seen the movie where Matt Damon, I think it's Matt Damon, he's got the rubber band around his wrist and he snaps it and it changes his brain, like his thought flow, stuff like that. You can use these other tools to help you, derail your old habit, your old thinking.
Absolutely. And on the scarcity thing too, one of the words I wrote down was value. And I was in a board meeting yesterday and they were talking about the fact that because we are still struggling with what we perceive as our own personal value, we wait to hear the value that people put on us from outside for us to recognize what we're worth.
Sure.
Instead of from the inside out understanding our values so that we can unapologetically say, my hour is worth this much time, or unapologetically approach someone and say, we should be working together because this is a project that I'm working on and this is what I need from you, instead of just waiting for what they need from you. You know what I mean? So all those pieces come into play, and that's the kind of stuff that I see that you guys are unpacking in agency for every individual person.
Yeah, well, that, you know what it brought me up, it just brought up in my mind is like, we make some of our members, it's homework. Some members just do it a little easier. We make them celebrate wins of all kinds. Absolutely. And there's a reason for celebrating. If you want that 21 day to make a habit is bullshit. If you want to create a new habit of a new way of thinking of every time a client cancels, you think of something else. Every time a teacher is late, you think of something else. You need a prompt, and you have to celebrate that you thought about it. And that actually encourages a habit to happen, a new pathway to happen. But we do this inside of agency for several reasons. Either to increase a consistency over a habit that they want to have, or B, reflection. It's so easy for us to check off the boxes. That's the world we live in. Oh, I did that, did that. And actually, then you have a bad day and you come in and you're like, oh my God, all these people have canceled on me. Nothing's happening. And it's like, actually 2 weeks ago, you actually wrote that you had your biggest sales ever. So you're having a bad week. It's also July in the States after a pandemic. This is when people travel. I bet if you looked at 2019, July, this week, your clients were on vacation, right? So it is, so we have them celebrate their wins often so they can have reflection of how far they've come. Absolutely. And also something that they can look back to when they're having a moment, because we all are human beings. I don't go around like seeing rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, this sucks.
Good job, Ultimate Serenity.
So, you know, you got it. So that's a huge thing that we do inside of Mini and inside of agency. It's like a lot of celebration, because you have to pat yourself on the back. Because going back to what you said, if you're waiting for other people to pat you on the back, waiting for other people to see value in you,
you're going to be waiting a while.
You're just going to be waiting a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So real talk. When does Agency Mini start? When does it end? How much does it cost? Because everyone is just like,
Okay, so Agency Mini starts August 1st. We close the doors to sign up on the 31st or sooner, depending on if we're full, which we're already 35% full. And today is only day 2 to sign up.
Yeah.
So
don't wait.
So it's also on early bird right now. So it's normally $62.50. You can get in for $25 if you sign up today.
So don't wait.
You just give me more money, and that's fine. We'll take it. But we could also sell out at early bird, and that would be really, really fun. So early bird will end tomorrow, Wednesday, Pacific time, end of day, and then it's $62.50. The value of this program is over $400. So
closer to $500.
So you get a lot. And there is not only a great way to get your questions answered, get clarity around everything we've been talking about. It's also a great way to experience coaching with us. And a lot of people do go from Mini to agency. It is not required. We give you the same coaching all the way through till Saturday the 7th, end of day. I mean, I go to bed at 10, but Brad will stay till midnight, and you get it all. It ends on the 7th, and that's 7 days of literally answering any question you have.
Yeah.
Yes, and I having done Agency Mini twice, one of the things too that really did resonate, we mentioned earlier about one of the people that has been with you for a long time. It was cool to hear from the two of you, and then have people in the community, share their insights, and people who joined. Everyone's at different stages of their career path, right? So someone may sign up for Agency Mini and someone else, and they're like, they can answer questions in the chat. So there's this collaborative work that's happening. The fun thing and the special thing for me was when the Claire Sparrows of the world showed up, and you brought in some of your past existing agency people who have been there for a long time, and they are supporting as well, and they're pulling a Lesley and a Brad on everyone in the room too, right?
Oh.
So I think that is
lovely.
So rich.
She's amazing.
She's so lovely. Yeah.
She is so lovely. She is one of our gems. And I have to say this about our ambassadors. We call them ambassadors. They literally ask us, do you need more ambassadors for Agency Mini? I used to cap it at like 5 or 6. No, I think we got 9 coming in. we have some who've done 5 minis now. This will be their 5th one. Like, and it's a lot of work. I mean, that Facebook group is on fire. Their notifications are going crazy, and they know how important this week is. They know how special it is, and they want to be part of it. And here's the other thing. When you are like them coming in, you actually get a sense of confidence in yourself, because you're like, well, oh, I actually know how to answer this for them. Here's how Lesley and Brad teach that, blah, blah. And then it's great reminders for them. So it's really, it's such a tight-knit family, and and it is really special. But I do love when Claire and our ambassadors come in and answer questions and do lives, because I think it's easy for people to go, well, you know, Lesley and Brad, they of course are going to say this. It's really important that people see that, you know, we're a very unique coaching community. Our goal is not that you're in for 6 months and then we kick you out. Bye, you learned everything, you've graduated now. Our goal is that you're with us as long as you need us. And if you need us, if you need to come in and you're here for a year and go out for 2 months and come back, we've had people do that.
Sure.
You know, but the reality is like, we are with you unconditionally, no matter if you're in whatever level of membership you are. I still check on you every week. So
Lesley, you sound like me. I have people that I trained 10 years ago that are like, I still, in my head, they are still my clients. How are you doing? What's going on? And they may circle back and may touch base with me every few years, but they are forever my people.
Yeah. Well, because, you know, I mean, I am not a parent, but I now have an excuse, and people say, when do you guys have kids? I'm like, you know, we have 180 kids, actually.
So we are back to the parent thing. Okay.
Right. Yes.
This is how I'm going to use it. We have 180. Like, we can't, I don't know.
Well,
do you want to change the subject there, Brad?
Well, for those of you who may be wondering where, go to profitablepilates.com/mini. So profitablepilates.com/mini. The doors are open. Like she said, early bird is closing tomorrow night. At the end of the day tomorrow. So Thursday morning, the price jumps. So if this is it, jump in now. There are limited spots. And then we kick the whole program off on Sunday, August 1st. So you got to be in before then, because we close the doors.
And 2 more housekeeping things. Love roommates already, and wonderful. So 2 more housekeeping things. We have people who say, oh, I'll join next time. We actually do not have this scheduled again for 2021.
No.
So it requires our entire team to help us out, requires us to cancel all of our schedules for an entire week. So we can only run it twice a year. And so this is the last time it's scheduled for this year. So you don't want to wait. Also,
if you can't make
the lives, if you can't make the lives, thanks, Plus Highs IG.
You guys are on it. Nice.
Plus Highs IG, you're amazing. So if you can't make the lives, again, there's a 3-day replay, because we do know that people live in all different time zones. You got clients, it's fine. There's 3 days to watch about an hour-ish long webinar and an hour and a half, 2-hour long group coaching call. So you can make time for that. If you are not a Facebook fan, I understand. That is where the party happens, just for mini. It doesn't happen that way for agency. It's because it's the easiest way for people to navigate. So if you want to join as a sleuth name into the Facebook world, you can. Just let our support team know what your new, like what you're coming in as, so that we can identify that. Ideally, it would be your name, but you can just join Facebook for that 1 week.
Sure, we've had people do that.
They'll let you.
Yes. I have to say one more thing to you guys. We got like 2 minutes left. And Brad, you said something earlier, and I listened to the conversation within the conversation at times. And one of the things that you said was, this is her superpower. And so I just love the fact that you were able to point out your partner, your business partner, your friend, your all that, just something awesome about her. That teamwork is, it's so sweet. Look at you guys. Yes, well, that's awesome. So I just love that. That's how we do, right? Like, I've been cheering for husbands all week. Partners for doing things. Right. So kudos to you on your birthday as well.
On his birthday, everyone. So he's not on Instagram, so you can throw up birthday messages to me, and guess what? They come up on his computer. Blow him up.
There you go.
Amazing.
So yes, so happy birthday to you, Brad, and Lesley and Brad, thank you so much for saving me. I had no clients booked for today on Core Conversations, so this has been an awesome hour.
This
so
is
amazing.
divine
300th too.
And thank you for letting us talk all about this. And hopefully it inspired some people in lots of ways. And if you joined because of this, let us know. Thank you, Martin. We'll see you soon.
All right, Martin. Cheers, brother.
All right, thank you, and thank you to everybody for all your comments and sharing these guys on. Love it. All right, have a great day, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Bye.